So a very warm welcome to each and everyone present today once again. My name is Vineet and I'll be the instructor for all of you. Okay. So in today's class we'll be going through exceptions. In the last class we understood what are threads. We tried to implement them. We understood what is synchronized methods and all. So we also saw many examples on it, and there's a project available on the community itself, so you can attempt that project and send me the solution. I'll review your answer. Okay. Now exceptions. During the program you would have heard of errors, exceptions due to which your application crashes. It stops in between. Have you seen an exception before? Please write down on the chat window. Have you seen an exception before? Ashraf says yes. What kind of exception? Can you name few exceptions that are in Java? Sai says array index out of exception. Exactly correct. Now do you know, Sai, why it comes? Array index out of bounds. Amol says bank ATM withdrawal. Ashraf says null pointer exception. Very common exception that we receive, that is the null pointer. Sai says divide by zero exception. Yes, Sai, that's correct. Okay, that means you are quite aware of the exceptions that are present in Java. Okay, so we'll be understanding what are exceptions. We'll understand how to handle these exceptions, as well as we'll take overlook over errors. What are errors in Java? Okay, Amol says arithmetic exception. Absolutely correct. So that means you are quite aware of the exceptions. So let's move on. Let's see what are exceptions. Exceptions is the one that stops the execution of the program unexpectedly. Okay, that means all of a sudden your program stops. That is why you cannot run it. It is showing you an error. It won't give you the desired result. The process of handling these exceptions is called exception handling. Okay, if you want to run a program and if you know that an exception could occur in this particular code, so what you can do, you can handle that exception even if your program causes encounters an exception. What you can do, you can place a catch block, and in the catch block what you'll do some task, okay, so that your application does not crash and you keep on continuing with the application. Okay, the application executes completely. So that is the exception handling. That is the advantage of exception handling. So let's move on. What are the types of exception? One is the runtime exception. That happens during the runtime when you run your code, when you run your application. Amol says, sir, your voice is lowering. So all of you, do you face the same problem? Do you find my voice low? Please write down on the chat window if yes. Yogesh says yes. Sai says no. Ashraf says no. Vijay says no. Okay, so I'll just try to speak louder even then. Okay. So I was saying there are two types of exception. One is the runtime exception. The second one is the compile enforced exception. What is a runtime exception first of all? From the name itself you can understand that whenever you run your application or the Java code, the exception that you receive is actually termed as runtime exception, due to which your application stops, it halts. Okay. The second kind of exception is the compile enforced exception. That is before running. During the compiler itself tell you that there is an exception, there is something wrong with your program. Now, first we come to the runtime exception, are also called the unchecked exception because you are not aware of that. So it is called unchecked exception. These exceptions are handled at runtime by JVM after they have occurred by using try and catch block. Okay. These can only be handled, that is, once you encounter an exception during the program, after that it is handled. Okay, you are not actually preventing it, hence it is termed as unchecked because there is no check present on it. When it happens, after that we present a cure that this is the thing that you can do after that if an exception happens. Okay, like the array index out of bounds exception, arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, these all comes in the category of runtime exception itself. So all of you write down on the chat window, are you clear with runtime exceptions? Amol says yes. What about the rest of you? Okay, Sai, Mohsin, Ashraf, Mahvesh, Ahmed, Sara. Everyone says yes. Okay, then let me see, do I have a separate program for runtime exception? Okay, not now. So we'll see few programs on exception as well. These are all the examples that I'll be showing you today. Okay then. Moving on. Compiler enforced exceptions are also called checked exceptions. Okay, these exceptions are handled by Java compiler itself before they occur by using throws keyword. Okay, when you have to handle the exceptions that are checked by Java compiler, you will be using the throws keyword. Like the input output exception, you can use throws keyword and then you write the exception like input output exception or file not found exception. Okay, so these are all done by Java compiler. These are handled by Java compiler and they are also called checked exceptions. Okay, now what are the exception classes present in Java? Once you have the object, there is a throwable within that. So it can be divided into two. One will be the error, the second would be the exception. Exception are of two types, runtime exception and compile enforced exception right here. So just remember the flow diagram. Throwable, you have got two things. One could be an error, simple error, or other could be the exception, which are of two types. One is the compile enforced exception, second is the runtime exception. Okay. Now, how to handle the exception handling mechanism. We understood what is an exception. We understood what are the types of exceptions. Now we need to understand how to handle these exceptions using the mechanism. Now, one is the try block. You can use a try block, you can use a catch block, and you can use a finally block. These are the three blocks that you use to handle the exceptions. Okay. Now, there could be multiple catch block as well. We'll be going through that in a while. So first of all, we come to the try and catch block, how to use it to handle the exceptions. Now, we write the try keyword. First of all, open up the parenthesis. Code where you think exception would occur. As I told you that. Now, first I want to clear one more thing, that is whenever you have to handle a runtime exception, for that you'll be using a try block, because first it will try a code. If an exception occurs, it will send it to the catch block, or it will execute the code if you are not receiving any exception in that. Okay, so that means it is a trial basis thing. It will try the code at least, and it depends whether exception occurs or not. Okay, if the exception occurs, what happens? It will directly come to the catch block. So catch the exception and displays the exception. If you want, or if you want any other task that has to be performed, you can place that task within the catch block itself. Okay. So are you clear with the syntax that I have displayed right now? And in threads, many times you receive an exception. So in that you will be basically using the exceptions also, the try and catch block. Okay. Ashraf says yes. Is Ashraf the only one who has understood it? Please write down on the chat window. What about the others? Mavis says yes. What about the rest of you guys? Please write down. Sarah says yes. Sai says got it. Amol says yes. Mohsin says clear. Yogesh says yes. Vijay says yes. Very good then. Now we come to the example of try and catch block. So you have a class like public class try and catch. You can give it any name. Okay, just don't get confused with the try catch, okay, that I've mentioned. Now you have the main method. Within that main method you write integer y equals to 0. Within the try block, what you're doing, you know that you'll be receiving an exception. Okay, there's a chance of exception right here because y is equals to 0 and you are dividing an integer value with 0. So obviously it will give you an exception. So you are putting the entire statement in the try block. You write system.out.println 5 divided by y, and you have a corresponding catch block in which you are getting the exception. You are printing it out right here. Okay, you can print the exception as well, or you can simply print a statement right there, whatever you want to display on the screen whenever the application encounters an exception. Okay. Okay, before multiple catches, let's go and see an example of an exception on Eclipse itself. So try and catch, and I open it up. What is exception E used with catch block? Okay, I'll just show you in Eclipse itself. You're talking about this, right? E. Am I right, Ahmed? So E is just a variable that is storing this arithmetic exception. Okay? Are you clear now, Ahmed? It is just a variable that stores the exception. You have defined this variable with this data type, arithmetic exception. Okay, object of that. Now what we are doing, we have used scanner. Can anyone tell me what is the use of scanner? What we are doing by using this scanner? Please write down on the chat window. I have already taught you a scanner. For taking input, absolutely correct. Mehvesh, Amol says input of user, Sai says keyboard input, Ahmed, Sarah and Yogesh. Everyone says input, that's correct. You're taking an input, hence you're using a scanner, the best way to take input from the user. Now system.out.println, enter a number, you print a string, and finally you are defining a variable that is integer y. SC is the scanner object. Next int, that is you're taking an integer value. After that you check in the try block if y is equals to 0, system.out.println 5 divided by y. It will do this one. Now since it will launch an exception, it will encounter an exception. What it will do, it will directly come to the catch block and it will print divide by 0 exception. Okay? Or if you are giving a normal value, that is 10 or anything else, so 5 divided by 10 is 0.5. So no, when you give 10, it will directly come here because y is not equals to 0. So it will come here, it will print out exception has not occurred to see exception, enter 0. Now after that you can enter 0 and then you'll see this exception. Okay, so I'll run this code. Okay, and enter a number first of all. So if I mention 10 and I press enter, exception has not occurred to see exception, enter 0. Now I enter a 0 value, I press enter. This time I receive an exception, that is divide by 0 exception right here, which is printed in the catch block. Okay, whenever you face an exception, then only it goes to the catch block, or else it won't go. So everyone, are you clear with it? How to use a try catch block? Please write down on the chat window. Very good then. Now if I run this code again, this time it will print the exception itself. What was the exception? So I run it, I directly print 0. Now this was the exception, that is arithmetic exception by 0. Okay, so this is the exception that you received right there. So I'm printing the exception itself. So I hope it is quite clear to you how to use a try catch block. What is the function? What part of the code will come in the try block? Can anyone answer? Which part of the code will be placed in try block and which part of the code will be placed in catch block? Please write down in the chat window. Let's see. Anyone? I'm sure you can tell me. It is quite easy to answer this. Actual code in try block, Amol says. Sai says try block contains the code which is error prone, where we accept errors, or you can say exceptions instead of errors. Okay, to be specific, where the code that is exception prone will place that code into the try block, and if an exception occurs, whatever you want to do to handle that exception, you'll place a catch block. Vijay says try will contain statements where exception can occur. Absolutely correct. Ashraf says try exception is generate and catch handle the exception. Okay, that's correct. And Vijay says and catch have message to handle that exception. Absolutely correct. Very good then. So we get back to the presentation once again. Now we'll understand the multiple catches. When there is a chance of getting different types of exceptions, we use multiple catch block for a try block. Okay, like you can receive a null pointer exception. Yogesh says voice problem. Is everyone facing the same problem? Ashraf says yes. Vijay says yes. Amol says yes. Ahmed says yes. Sai says no, it's clear for me. Okay, give me a minute. I'll just check out my audio setting. Okay. Okay, what about now?
Welcome to GoToWebinar, web events made easy.
Everyone, is it clear now? Yogesh says okay. What about the rest of you? Ashraf, Sarah. Okay, very good then. Okay, I'll try to speak slowly as well so that the voice is quite clear to you. Okay. Now you can use multiple catches when there is a chance of getting different types of exceptions. We use multiple catch block for a try block. That is, for a single try block you can use multiple catches. Ahmed says, hope it goes a long way. Absolutely, just keep on your hopes, it will go a long way. Okay. Okay, then you have a try block. You mention your statements that are exception prone. After that, you have got a multiple catch. You can receive many kinds of exception in a particular code, like you can receive a null pointer exception, you can receive array out of bound exception, or any other exception like arithmetic exception. Okay, so if multiple exceptions can be present in a particular code, so in that case what you can do, you can place multiple catches for different types of exception. If you do not place multiple catches, then it will only handle that particular exception, and if other exception happens, then there is nothing to handle it. Okay, so in that case we should always use a catch block. An example of a multiple catch block. I made a class that is multiple catch. You have a variable that is integer n, array which is of size 3, and it takes integer value in it. You write multiple underscore catch integer n. Can you tell me what is this? Now I'll keep on asking questions that we have already read. Okay, can you tell me what is this? This multiple underscore catch. Amol says constructor, Mehvish says constructor, Vijay says constructor. Absolutely correct. It is the constructor of the class. Sai says constructor, Yogesh says constructor. Very good. So have multiple underscore catch, and if you pass an integer value, it will call this constructor. Isn't that you have got a try block? If n is equals to 0, so the value that you passed in the constructor, if it is equals to 0, it will come system.out.println 5 divided by 0. It will give an exception and come to a arithmetic exception, divide exception, right? So that will be an arithmetic exception. After that, if n is not equals to 0, it will come to the else block. In the else block, we have got array 3 equals to n. Now can you tell me what is the problem with this code? I can assure you this will give an exception, this line. But why? What is the problem with this statement right here, that is array 3 equals to n? Everyone think over it. Ashraf says array index out of bound. Sai says array index. Absolutely correct. Because our array is of size 3, and in Java index starts from 0, then it will go maximum up to 2. That means 0, 1 and 2. Yes, Sai, you are correct. Ahmed and Yogesh, you are also correct. Right? So array 3 is not, this index does not exist. That is why it will give an error, that is array index out of bounds. Finally, you'll print the array. So this will absolutely give an exception, and it will take you to array index out of bounds exception, and it will print this line, this statement. Okay, so let's go to Eclipse and we'll see this one, that is multiple catches. So I come to multiple catches now. So this is a class multiple catches. So in this class, what I've done, same example, that is I define an integer value n, int array integer, new integer 3, multiple catch if it takes a value integer, so it will come here in the constructor. After that, if n equals to 0, 5 divided by n causes an exception, that is arithmetic exception. If it is not equals to n, it will come here, it will put that n in position 3 which does not exist, hence you'll receive array index out of bound exception, so it will come here. So what I did in the main method, I created two objects, okay, that is multiple catch 1 of multiple catch class, and I passed 0 as the parameter for the constructor, and in the second one I passed the value 5. So what will be the exceptions? What will be the result? Please write down on the chat window. If I run this code, what will be the result that I would receive? Anyone? I'm waiting for your answers. Give me the order. First one, okay. Ashraf says arithmetic exception first of all. Absolutely correct. It will be first one. When I run this code, I receive arithmetic exception first of all. Java.language.arithmeticException by 0, and second is the ArrayIndexOutOfBoundsException that was equals to 3. Okay, because we are printing the exception itself right here. This object we placed it right here, and divide exception we placed it right here. That is why we received the exception itself on the console window. So all of you, are you clear how to use a multiple catch block? What is the use of multiple catch block? Why do we need it? Sai says yes, Ashraf says yes, Mavis says yes, Yogesh and Vijay says yes, Sarah says yes, Ahmed says yes. Very good. So getting back to the presentation, the same example, two objects, that thing in the main method. Moving on. Now what is a throw keyword? Throw is a keyword which is used to call the subclass of an exception class. Okay. This keyword is also used to throw the exception occurred in the try block to catch block, like this. When you use a try block and you have a corresponding catch block, so you can directly throw an exception like this, that is throw new exception underscore class, and you mention the message that has to be displayed. It comes here and you can print that statement. You can do particular kind of job. Okay. So let's see the example of a throw keyword now. So you've got package. Now you have a class that is student. In that, the constructor of the class takes one integer ID and second is the name of the student. Okay, it is taking two parameters, one integer student ID and second string name. You open up the try block. Within that, you check whether the student ID is 0 or not. And if it is 0, it throws new exception. ID can't be 0. Okay. Else, it prints out the ID and the name of the student right here. Now if it is an exception, throws will directly come to the catch block and you can print the exception itself. Okay, that will be ID cannot be 0. In the main method you have got two objects. You created two objects of class student. One is student 1, the other is student 2. First one's ID is 0 and student 1 is the name. Second one's ID is 1 and the student 2 is the name. Okay, so when I run this code, I go to Eclipse. I close all this and I was on throw keyword. Okay, so main class and student class. Now you can see easily throw new exception, ID cannot be 0, and in else part if it is not 0, it will print the name of the student and the student ID. Exception, you are handling the exception directly like exception E. System.out.println will print the E itself. Okay. I come to main Java, two objects student 1 and student 2, so I run this code. I receive Java language exception, ID cannot be 0, right? Because I passed this string into the exception, so this was the exception that was cached by this catch block and you're printing the same exception. And the second output is the ID of student 2 is 1. Okay? Because the second time the ID was not equals to 0, it was not an exception, so you executed the program and you never went to the catch block. So all of you, are you clear with the throw keyword, the use of throw keyword? Please write down on the chat window. Ashraf says yes, Sai says yes, Ahmed says yes, Amol says yes, Sarah and Vijay says yes. Okay, very good then. After that, we get back to the presentation. Now we come to throws keyword. Okay, throws is a keyword applied to methods for which an exception has raised during its execution. Okay, like you have the return type, you have the method name. This method throws an exception, that is exception class. You mention the exception class itself. Now this exception, this kind of throws keyword, then you mention the exception class. You do it with methods in which there is a chance of an exception that could be raised. Okay, so you can just use the throws keyword and you can mention that exception class so that it could be handled. Okay, now how to use it? You have give input class. So you have a method that is void take input, which throws an input output exception. Okay, why we are using an input output exception in buffered reader? Can any one of you tell me? Can answer this point? We have understood what is the use of buffered reader, but why are we using the throws input output exception? Ashraf says file not found, Sai says file input output. That is right, but why with buffered reader? Okay, well, when we come to Eclipse, then we'll understand this question. Vijay says because it is an object of input stream. That's right. Okay, we'll come to that. So first we'll see the diagram and then we'll go to Eclipse itself. So I have a method that is take input, in which we have a chance that we should receive an exception that would be an input output exception. Within that I'm using the buffered reader. Reader equals to new buffered reader. Within that you write the input stream reader and you pass system.in. That means you are taking input from the keyboard. After that you print the system.out.println, enter your name. String name equals to reader.readline, and finally you print system.out.println your name is, and you just print out the name that was entered. Now you come to the main method. In the main method, which also throws an input output exception, you are making an object of give input equals to new give input, that is the class, and within using that object we are calling the method that was take input. Okay, so let's go to Eclipse and we'll open the throws keyword. Okay, now our program was give input, in which we are using our input output exception, that is throws an input output exception. Now I was asking what is the reason of this, why are we using an input output exception? If I remove this input output exception, will it give me an error? Everyone think over it and let me know. If I remove this input output exception, will this method give me an error? Vijay says no. Ashraf says yes. So rest of you, will you go with Ashraf who says yes, or with Vijay who says no? Mohsin says yes. Yogesh says no idea. Okay, I'll also go with Ashraf. Yes, it would give me an error, as you can see. Okay, so we need as throws declaration, or we need to surround with try and catch block. That means you guys haven't gone through buffered reader till now. You haven't implemented it. Whenever you write buffered reader, whenever you take input, you always place this input within the try catch block, because it raises an exception. Like you're taking a string value, if you enter some other value, in that case what happens, there's nothing to handle the exception, right? It will cause an exception and your application will crash. So in that case you always mention the buffered reader either in a try catch block like this, surround by try and catch block, it comes into the try catch and it is fine now, or you have to mention the throws keyword as we did, that is throws input output exception. Okay, so that is the reason why we are using input output exception. This is why you do not have to place a try catch block within your program. In the main method we make the object of give input, and we call the method that is take input. Now I run the code, I won't be receiving. First of all, what I'll do, I'll just remove this exception. Okay, now when I run this code, I'll write Vineet and your name is Vineet. Okay, that was the basic idea how to use this input output exception. What is the need? So all of you, are you clear with the throws keyword? Please write down on the chat window. Everyone? Sai says yes, Vijay says okay, Yogesh says yes, Ashraf says yes, it's clear. What about the rest? Sarah says yes, Mavish says yes. Okay, so we are quite clear with the throws keyword now. Now these topics are really very small yet very important, because exceptions are really nuisance. Okay, whenever you make an entire program and after that when you run and you receive an exception, you just get furious. So you need to handle the exceptions intelligently. Now we come to uses of finally keyword. Okay, Vijay says, is it necessary to use throw in the main method also, because you're calling the object, right Vijay, in the main method? That is why we are using the throws input output exception here itself, or else it will give you an error right here. Okay, I hope it is clear to you now. Now we come to finally keyword. Now what if? Think of this situation. These were all based on the situations. First was if a program is prone to an exception. If a code, part of the code is prone to exception, what to do, how to handle it, you can use a try catch block. So you got a solution. After that, we had a problem that if a particular code is prone to more than one exception, then what we can do, we can place multiple catches to handle the exceptions. So second problem was also solved. Okay, now we come to the third necessity, that is what if even though we receive an exception, everything is handled, that's fine, but even though at the end I want to execute some things. So what you can do, for that you have got your finally keyword. When we want a set of statements to be executed after an exception has occurred, then we use finally block. You use the finally keyword and you open up the braces and you place all your statements that you want to be executed after an exception has occurred. Okay, so this is the need. So first the necessity comes and then there is a solution given to it. So all of you, are you clear till finally keyword? Then we'll move to the example of finally keyword. Okay, very good then. So moving on, we come to, okay, first we'll see the example there itself. It's not present on presentation. So I go to Eclipse now. I'll close it. I come to finally keyword. I open the main method now. Okay. So void main. Within that I have my try catch block, system.out.println, enter try block, throw new exception, that is exception is thrown. In the catch you have got system.out.println, enter catch block, and you'll print the exception that was thrown in the try block. Finally, when the exception is catched, you again want to execute some things, so you place that thing in the finally block. Vijay says is code that must execute even there is an exception has occurred. Absolutely correct, Vijay. That code will be placed in the finally block as I'm doing right now. So I wanted to print a statement that is entered finally block even exception has occurred. Okay, even though the exception occurs in the program. So I'll just run this code, and what I'll receive, enter try block, entered catch block, Java language exception, exception is thrown, that is printed right here, that is E exception. Okay, an exception thrown was this one, and even though the exception was thrown, we wanted to print something that is entered finally block even exception has occurred. Okay, so what I'll do, we'll just experiment some things because we have got a lot of time and the topic is quite short. Okay, so system.out.println, please print me. Okay, this statement is actually shouting that please print me. Now I run this code, proceed. Okay, that was the issue. We cannot place a statement between catch and finally I'll just place it downwards. Now I run this code again. So it prints after that, right? So all of you, are you clear with the finally keyword, catch keyword and try keyword? Even if you place this statement that is system.out.println, you place it right here, it will give you an error. So these have to come all together if you are placing them, that is try, catch and finally they are the members of the same family and they do not go away from each other. Okay? So everyone let me know, are you clear with this part? Ashraf says yes. Sai says yes, very clear. Mavis says clear. Ahmed says yes. Vijay says yes, it's clear. Sarah says clear. Ahmed says yes. Okay then. Moving back to the presentation, I come to user defined exceptions. Okay, this is now one of the few topics that are left. Now what are user defined exceptions? Across built-in exceptions, user can also define his own exceptions. Okay, Now it can be done by defining a class that extends the exception class and creating a constructor of the class that is user defined with string argument to print that message when exception occurs. Now can you understand the statement that is written? You understood that you can define an exception using your own by extending an exception class. But what does this mean? That is creating a constructor of the class user defined with string argument to print that message when exception occurs. Can any one of you tell me why string arguments? Everyone please write down on the chat window. Ashraf says no idea. Okay. What about the rest of you? A very simple answer. Okay. There's no master science in it. Science is to print the exception, and that exception will actually be a string type. Every exception that gets printed is actually a string type, and since you're extending the class, you'll also use the string type itself to print it, right? That is why we take a string argument. Okay, before the advantages, let's go to Eclipse. Vijay says we must implement method which is declared in exception class. We must implement method which is declared in exception class. Okay. Now I come to user defined exceptions. Grade and student. So I'll just maximize it. Now I have a class grade that I prepared. Now in this grade class I am extending the exception class that is present in Java. I have got my 4 variables, that is integer, marks 1, 2, 3 and 4. I am making a constructor which takes a string value, and since in the superclass the constructor of the superclass takes a string value, that is why I am taking a string argument and I am passing super string. So I hope you are quite clear with this super keyword. Everyone, please write down on the chat window, are you clear or not? Ashraf says yes, Vijay says yes. What about the rest of you? We learned inheritance, right? I'm talking about the rest of you have not understood it. We learned about inheritance. Now whenever we are inheriting a class, we use the extends keyword, we mention the class name. Now we can call the constructor of the superclass, which says this is related to superclass object. Exactly. Now we want to call the constructor of the superclass. So what you can do, you can write super keyword and you can pass an argument to it that could be taken by the superclass. The superclass constructor takes a string argument, that is why we take a string argument right here. We pass the argument and it could be used. Okay, so we call the constructor of the superclass right here. After that I have another constructor that takes 4 inputs. One is integer marks 1, 2, 3 and 4. And I'm setting those marks to these all variables that I've defined in this class itself. So this dot marks actually represents this variable marks 1 and it is giving a value of marks 1 to it. Okay, similarly for marks 2, marks 3 and finally the marks 4. Okay. Now we defined a method that is find grade. Whenever we have to find the grade of all these students, what we use the method that is find grade right here. In that I have an array that is integer marks 1, 2, 3 and 4. We have a double total so that it will just give you the total of the marks. Double total of marks, total out of marks, that is 400, that is the total marks. That is the maximum marks someone can attain, that is the 400 right here. Now double percentage, what percentage is received. After that I open up the try block. In that I write for integer I equals to 0, I less than marks dot length I plus plus. If marks I is greater than equals to 40, total plus equals to marks I. Okay, if the marks is greater than 40, then only we are adding the marks to the total, else throw. If it is not, it goes to else part, it will throw new grade sorry. Okay, it will throw an exception, that is sorry. Now what you did, you passed a constructor. There was a constructor that is grade string, you just passed a value, string value to the constructor. It will call the super constructor. After that, when it is finally calculated, you find the percentage total divided by total out of marks into 100. Okay. Now if it is greater than 75, you receive, you got a grade A, you got a grade B, you got a grade C and you got a grade D. If it is not If it is greater than equals to 40 and percentage is less than 60, you just passed an examination. But if someone secured a marks less than 40, it will directly come to the catch block and you will receive an exception, that is error. And any is sorry, error, sorry, you did not excel, you are failed. Okay, you will receive this exception right here whenever the marks of one subject will be less than 40 that you are checking right here. Okay. So, are you clear with this class that I have defined? Please write down on the chat window. And in student class, I am passing few numbers, okay? Now, grade is taking 4 input parameters. So, student 1 new grade 60, 70, 89 and 40. So, just see the parameters and you have seen the class as well. Okay, you have got your parameters right here and you have got your class right here. Now you can see it. Now tell me, what will be the result if I run this code? This is the logic right here, find grade. We are calling this function, that is find grade. The answer is right in front of you in the logic that is present. So all of you write down on the chat what do you think will be the result. Student 1, 2, 3. Whether student will pass or not, whether student 2 will pass or not, or 3 will pass or not. Ashraf says no exception will be received. Okay, what about the others? Student will fail. Which student, Vijay? Ashraf says everyone will pass. See the logic once again, Ashraf. I guess you are missing the logic. Vijay says student will fail and he says the second student would fail. Okay, you have seen this logic. After that, see the conditions also if you want. I'll just take it upwards. Okay, this way you can see it better, right? Okay, now you can see it both ways. Now you have the logic in front of you and you have the call to the functions. Now I need you to tell me what will be the result. Mohsin, Mavish, Sara, Yogesh, Vijay, Sai, Ashraf, Amol, Ahmad. All of you guys are good. Please tell me. Student 1 gets exception, Ashraf says. Student 1 will fail, Sara says. Student 1 will fail, Sai says. Sara says student 2 just passed the exam. And what about student 3, Sara? Everyone, what about the third student? Yeah, you can do some calculations, some mathematics. Okay, then I'll tell you. Let me just run the code. When I run this code and you guys are right, that is first one is an error. That means you receive an exception. Sorry, you did not excel, you have failed. Okay. Second one, you just passed in the exam. You just passed in the examination. Second one, and third one receives a grade D. Okay, that is right here. So if he's receiving a grade D, his percentage was greater than 60 but less than 65. So all of you, are you clear with this right here? That is when you use a defined exception. Please write down on the chat window if you are. Okay. Yogesh says, what is any in last catch in grade file? Similarly, it is the object. Change it to E. It won't say anything. Okay. Change it to my name and as an exception. That will be fine. Okay. It is any name that you can give. Are you clear? Yogesh says okay. Ashraf says yes, clear. Sara says yes, clear. Vijay says yes. Sai says yes. What about Mehvesh, Mohsin? Okay, Mohsin says yes, clear. I guess Ahmed did not say anything. Ahmed, Amol, Mehvesh. Okay then, I hope you are quite clear with each and everything now, with the exceptions. Now we come to advantages of exceptions. The program will still execute even if an exception arises that is the finally block. So one advantage is if you want to execute necessarily that even though the exception occurs, I want that this code should be executed. So what you can do, you can place that code in the finally block. So it is one advantage of exceptions. Now second is if you can't handle the exception, JVM will handle the exception if we use throws keyword. Okay, if you're not handling it in the program, you can directly use the throws keyword, extend, that means you can use with the method name or the class name itself, and it will handle that particular exception, okay, using the throws keyword. Finally, we can differentiate the exceptions that have occurred. That means if an exception is occurring like arrays out of bound exception, so you'll know it is because that you have put some wrong index into the array. That is why you receive that exception. So similarly, other exceptions are also there, like when you divide a number by 0, you receive arithmetic exception. Okay, or when you pass a null value, a null variable, you use it in program, you receive a null pointer exception. Okay, so these are all kinds of exceptions that are available, so you can differentiate between them. So I hope you are clear with the advantages of exception. I'll move on and we come to errors and errors handling. Now first thing is design time error. These are the errors that occur while designing the programs. Okay, the simple syntax errors, these errors will be shown with a red mark in Eclipse IDE so that you can easily find and correct it. Now can you tell me, have you understood what is an error from these statements? Have you seen an error before? Everyone, have you seen an error before? Please write down on the chat window, can we define more than one exception for a method using throws? Vijay says, absolutely, let's try it. Let's see whether we can do it or not. Okay, I'll close this. I come to my throws one again. Okay, the best way is to learn to try it, okay? So instead of just going through books or anything, I'll just check it out. Comma. Now what exception do you want? Shall we go with arithmetic? So let's go with arithmetic exception. Is that fine? Do you want more exceptions? Vijay. Let's go with null pointer exception. Ahmed says, what was the question? I'm sorry, Ahmed, I guess I forgot to say, just tell you the question. Vijay says, can we define more than one exception for a method using throws keyword? Okay, so this is a method. We have the throws keyword. Previously, there was only one exception that it was handling. After that, you can extend the exceptions. Okay, you just have to use the comma and you can add as many exceptions that you want that can occur in your method. Okay, Ahmed says thanks. Now what about Vijay? Are you clear? And the rest of you, are you clear with that? All of you can come up with these kinds of questions, that these questions actually take the class further. Okay. Mohsin says yes, Sai says yes, Vijay Kumar says okay, it's clear. Yogesh says yes. Sarah says yes. Okay. Now, what about the errors, guys? No one is telling me any answers right now. I'm saying design time error. These are the errors that occur while designing the program. Sarah says yes. These errors will be shown with a red mark in Eclipse IDE so that you can easily find and correct it. So, do you get an overview of an error from these statements? Ashraf says, yes, missing semicolon at the end of the statement gives you an error, a red line. Absolutely correct. Sai says, yeah, I've seen it. Yogesh says, missing semicolons. Ahmed says, quite frequently. Absolutely, you would have seen it, and not just the semicolons. Like in the main method, if you make the M of the main method capital, it will give you an error. In the static keyword, if you make S of a static keyword capital, it will give you an error. Can you tell me why? If I make the S capital, it gives me an error in your application, that is Java application. Can you tell me why? Sai says if you're not including any package. All of you tell me the answer. Very simple, very basic answer, that is Sai says string as well. Absolutely, Amol says syntax error because Java is case sensitive. Don't you forget, Java is actually a case sensitive language. Ashraf says, what is the question? Vijay says, what is the question? The question was, if I make the S capital like C capital of class, okay, I make the capital C capital of the class, then what happens? It gives me an error. I was asking, why does it give you an error? So Amol has already given the answer, that is Java is a case sensitive language, hence it gives you a syntax error. Okay, is that clear, Vijay and Ashraf? I hope it is. Ashraf says yes. So let's see a small example right here. In only one project, that is the final one, there is an error present. Okay, so I open it up, static keyword SS capital, it gives me an error because Java is case sensitive. Capital M in the main method. Okay, it does not give you an error now, but previously it would definitely give you an error. Maybe in the latest versions now it has upgraded. Okay, so I'll just change it back to small itself. No. So guys, would you like to have a 5 minutes break today? Can we have a 5 minutes break, everyone? Sai says no. Ashraf says okay, sir. Sai says for string as well, it's give error. Mohsin says yeah, we can have it. So Sai, let's have a break for 5 minutes and then we'll come back with the class. We'll start the class. Ahmed says as you wish, sir. Sai says yeah, no problem. Thank you very much. So I'll just have some water and we'll come back with errors and errors handling. Mohsin sends me a smiley. Okay. So guys, are you back? Everyone, I'm back. What about you? Okay, Amol says yes. So even now you could feel that my voice is much better than before, right? Okay, Ahmed says right. Very good then. Okay, we were on design time error. These are the errors that occur designing. I've already showed you the example itself. So these are all the design time errors. Now tell me, if I place one more semicolon after this, will it give me an error? What do you think? Amol says yes. Sai says yes. Let's see, I don't think so. It won't give you an error. Nothing's there, just place a semicolon like this. It is already ended, it won't give you an error after this. Okay? So these are few practical things that you get to know when you actually code. Okay? By hit and trial, whenever you are coding, sometimes you put two semicolons at once and then you see, oh my god, it is not giving any error. So you find out one thing. When you place in the next line, even then it won't give you an error. Okay? So you have understood what is the design time error. He wants me to put exclamation mark, it will absolutely give an error. Sorry. Okay? Okay then. So getting back to the presentation, I come to errors, logical error. These are the errors done by programmer. That was syntax errors because of wrong syntax. This does not give error because it is a statement terminator. Absolutely. So if you just put a semicolon, statement as terminated, there was nothing in the statement, so it won't give you an error. The syntax is complete. Okay. That is why it does not give you a syntax error, or you can call the design error. Now, what if the syntax is entirely correct, but the logic that you implemented is wrong? So that is termed as logical error. These are the errors done by programmer. The programs with these errors will run, but does not produce desired results. Okay, you wanted something, it will give you something else because the logic within that is not complete. It is wrong. Okay, like example, getting division of two numbers as output, but expected is multiplication of numbers. Okay. So what you did, you actually put a wrong logic, you divided the numbers. Now these errors can be rectified by understanding the logic and checking whether it works perfectly or not. So let's see a logical error. Okay, it could be many types. Generally it happens in complex programs where you are not very aware of the logic. You are making a new logic for the new thing. So in that case, so when you implement it, sometimes you put a wrong logic and you receive the errors. Now, here's a program, there's a logical error. Now can you tell me what will be the result on the console window? All of you, please write down in the chat, what do you think will be the result? You can take your time. Okay, Mohsin says 1 and 3. Ashraf says, Sai says 1 to 5. Just a minute. Okay, we have few answers right here. Ahmed says, sir, आपकी आवाज break हो रही है. So is that so? Ashraf says, no loop statement execute. Amol says, first two statements will be printed. Sai says, 1 till 5 will be printed. Ashraf says, this is logical error program. This program is for printing number 1 to 5. Ashraf says, only. Mohsin says, 1, comma 3. Yogesh says 1 till 5. Mavish says 2, 3, 4. Ashraf says no loop statement execute. Vijay says this is right and Amol says yes. Now, all of you have given me something, but none of you have given me the exact output. What do you think will be the output? Just give me the output that I'll see on the console window. Vijay says no, this is not right. If it is not right, will it give me an exception, Vijay? Output. Give me the output right here. What do you think will be the output? If you want to explain me, if you want me to explain, I'll do that. You have got a for loop right here. You put a semicolon after that. You open up the braces and you place a system.out.println statement. Vijay says semicolon after for. That is the logical error. Vijay? Amol says this is logical error program. Absolutely it is, but what will be the result? Ashraf says this is logical error program. This program is for printing number 1 to 5. Yes, Ashraf, then what it will print? Whether it will print 1 to 5, whether it will print 5, whether it will print 2, 3, 4, what will it print? Amol says this program is for printing number 1 to 5. Absolutely it is. Amol says it will print nothing. Ashraf says it will print nothing. Okay. What about others? Everyone give your votes. Sai says I'll stick to my previous answer, that is 1 to 5. Amol says none value of I. Okay. Vijay says this will not print numbers. What about Sarah, Mehvesh? What about you? What do you think? Mohsin? No answer from your end. Ahmed? Please write down your answers. What do you think? Vijay says this will not print numbers. If I say yes, it would print a number. The hint is yes, it would print. Ahmed says it won't run. Absolutely, it will run and it will print a number. Now, what will be that number? Think again. Is anyone with me? Do you think will it print a number? Because I say that yes, it will print a number. Ashraf says 1. Okay. Ashraf says only 1. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Ashraf. This time you got the point. Absolutely. Good. What about others? Ashraf has given me the right answer now. I won't tell you, but I want an answer from you as well. Ahmed says, what about the terminator after the for loop? That is the logical error, Ahmed. That is the terminator after the for loop is the logical error. That is why you won't receive the result that is 1 till 5. But even then, there will be a number printed. What will be that number? Ashraf has cracked the answer, okay? What about others? Can't you do it? Ahmed says 1. Think again. Mavish, Sarah, what about you? No answers from your end? Vijay, Yogesh? I guess Vijay is actually implementing the program. Even Sarah. Okay then. So, Mavish says maybe 2, 3 and 4. In any way it won't come 2 and 3, 4. Mavish? So let me just run the code. And the answer is 6. Right here. This is logical error program. The program is for printing 1 to 5, but it will print 6. Okay, it will be printing the value 6. Now Ashraf, can you give me the explanation? Do you have a mic? If you have a mic, I want you to give the explanation to everyone. Let us see. Have you got a mic? Ashraf, please write down on the chat window if you have a mic. Waiting for your answer. Don't you have a mic, Ashraf? Please let me know. Okay, actually he's offline right now. Okay, he's facing some internet problem. Okay, then I'll explain on his behalf. I am printing two statements. These are quite clear. Now I initialize a variable that is I equals to 0. That does not matter. Even if I remove it, that is fine. Okay, sorry. But I have to mention it right here, integer I equals to 0. Okay. This is other way. After that, I less than 5, I plus plus, and I semicolon. The need for actually using it outside was that because I'm using it here, right? Okay. Now, I'm put a semicolon right over here. That means your loop is ending exactly there, okay? Now this block that you have made is not included in the for loop, okay? It is not present in the for loop. The loop will run for those many times. That is, the value of 5 will go till 5, okay? And after 5 it will get out of the loop, but this won't get printed because there is a terminator right here, a semicolon right here. Now this will be a simple block. Even if you remove the braces right here, that is the curly braces, it is fine. It won't give you an error. This is a separate statement that gets printed after the for loop. Hence what happens, till here the value of I is equals to 5, and after that 5 plus 1 will be printed as 6 as the output right here on the screen. Are you clear now? What is happening? This is a logical error that people do. Are you clear? Everyone? Sai says yes. What about the rest of you? Yogesh says yes. Mavis says yes. Sarah says yes. Very good. Mohsin says yes. What about you, Ahmed? You said the answer is 1. Ahmed says brainstorming but clear. Absolutely, it was a brainstorming question. Amol says not clear, sir. Amol, what is the question that you have? If you have mic, you can speak up, or else you can write your confusion on the chat window itself. Loop movement. Okay, I'll tell you. What happens if I remove this semicolon? If the semicolon is right here, if it does not find a semicolon, that is the end termination, what it does, it comes to the next statement and it considers that this statement should be executed with the loop, okay? That is why it is present right after the loop and there is no semicolon in between them. You find a semicolon right here, okay? But what happens if you put a semicolon right here? This loop will keep on running. It is running, but there is no statement associated with it. This is empty. It is not doing anything. It will only increment the value of I. It will run a loop, and finally when I will be equals to 5, it will check the condition. 5 is not less than 5, so it will get out of the for loop. After getting out, I will be equals to 5 there. It comes here and counters this statement, and it prints 5 plus 1, that is the value 6. Are you clear now, Amol? Please write down on the chat window if you are clear. Run program, okay. I run it, okay, and I receive a value 6. Is it fine now? Okay, very good then. So getting back to presentation. Okay, let's take a few questions. That last time we did few questions, 1 or 2. This time I've got 2 questions for you. First one is this one. So tell me the answer to this question. Pay my best wishes to Ashraf Ahmed says absolutely. Now all of you give me the answer to this question. It is based on two-dimensional array. Can you give me the answer to this? Amol says F. Compilation fails, okay? What about the rest of you? Do you think Amol is correct? Do you think Amol is correct? And I don't think Amol is correct. Okay, so you have still got 5 options to select. You can select one of the options from other 5 options that are left. It is not a compilation failure. Mavish says B. That is the answer. She says it is 3. You're going correct. Mavish, just remember from where is the index of Java starts. You thought it right. From your answer I can understand that, but remember the starting of the index in Java. The index in Java starts from, first of all give me the answer to this question, then you'll get the answer of this question itself. Yes Mavish, it starts from 0. Mohsin says it starts from 0, absolutely. Vijay says, sorry sir, my connection was lost. That's fine Vijay. So Vijay, just solve this question right here and I'll explain you the example once again. Okay, we have got time today. Mavish says E. Do you think Mavish is correct? Rest of you. Everyone let me know. Do you think Mavish is correct? Sarah, what about you? Don't you have any opinion to this question, for this question? At least if you do not know the answer, do not know how to solve it, give it a guess. I want you to give a guess so that you remember you gave a wrong answer. Okay, remember you gave a wrong answer and after that when I tell you the right answer, you'll remember it. Mohsin says, I think A. Yogesh says B. And I'll say I'll go with Mavish is right. Okay, the answer is E, which is 7. I'll tell you how. So let's go to Eclipse. So I'll just have to load my another workspace. So give me a minute. I guess this one or this one. Okay. Yeah, exactly the same question. So what is happening? You are defining a two-dimensional array. Vijay says, I think E. Absolutely, Vijay, it is E. Now, what is a two-dimensional array? You defined a two-dimensional array in that you are defining it first thing. The first block will take, you are defining it as 0 block. This is the first block and this is the second block. Since index starts from 0 in Java, so 0, 1 and 2. When you write Y2, so you're directly going to the second block. Then again, it is the 0th element, this is the first element, second and then third. So since you are writing 1 in the second block, you come to value 7. Okay, so that is why when you run this program, you'll receive a result that is 7 on the console window. Are you clear guys? So we had X, now we are putting the X to Y, the same values will be copied and finally we are accessing the elements as Y21. Hence it gives me a result that is 7 which is present in the second block and this first element. All of you let me know, are you clear? Each and every one of you write down on the chat window. Yogesh says yes, Sarah says yes. Vijay says yes, it's clear. Amol says no sir, it's not clear. What is your confusion, Amol? Enters of numbers. Okay, you know that in Java index starts from 0, right? So when you define a two-dimensional array, you can also define this array like this. Like you can place three elements, okay? You can equally divide it. Okay, this is also fine, but I want to equally divide it. So absolutely you can do that as well. Okay, so we have equally divided the array right now. So first block contains 3, second block contains 3, third block contains 3. That means it is a 3 cross 3 array. But in Java, you've got a facility like that as well. So what you're doing in the first block, you're putting only 2 elements. In the second block, you're putting 3 elements. And in the third block, you are putting 4 elements. Okay, it is somewhat like 2 blocks. Then you have 1, 2, and 3 elements. And in the final one, you've got 4 elements, right? Now what you're doing, you're accessing it through index. So first block represents, the first square bracket represents the block in which the element is present. So what you did, 2. So since it is 0, then 1, and then 2, so you're directly going to the second block, which is this. Then you have got the value 1, element 1. So in this, now you are in the second block. So first 0 and then 1. Are you clear, or do you want me to make a small diagram for you? I can explain it again. Are you clear, or do you want me to explain with a diagram? Let me know, guys. Please write down on the chat window. Okay, Machine says yeah, diagram. Amol says diagram. Absolutely. So we'll see the things simultaneously and the diagram itself. Okay. So you can see the program as well, right? Now, first of all, I'll just write down the same array. That is integer square brackets x equals to curly brace, within that I've got value 1 comma 2, and I close the curly brace, then a comma, and again opening a curly brace, within that 3 comma 4 comma 5, closing the curly brace, comma, opening it again, 6 comma 7 comma 8 comma 9. So we are done, and again curly brace and a semicolon. So this is my array. Okay, and we are trying to print, that is y, or you can directly use x. Okay, since we are equating, we are assigning the values of x to y and then printing y, you can directly use x as well. So I'll directly use x itself. So 2, and then again a bracket, then 1. Okay, so this is what we are trying to print. So let's maximize it now. So these are the values. Let's understand it, how it is happening. Okay, so I'll take some good color, I guess this one. So first this, or you can do it like this. First one has 2 values, I'll make space for 2. Second one has got 3 values, I'll make space for 3. Okay, and this also. And third one has got 4 values, I'll make space for 4. I hope the diagram is quite fine, right? Now, let's put some numbers as well. So this is 0 first. Let's change the color. 0. Then this one is 1. This one is 2. And finally this one is 3. Okay. Now similarly we have got like this. I've got 1. Let's go down. Okay. Then we have got 2, and then we have got 3. Sorry, mistake, 0. No one corrected me actually. You should have by now. So 1, and finally I have my value 2. Okay. So you'll understand this 2 is for this, 1 is for this, and 0 is for this. Or I can just make it perfect. Okay, so are you getting my point? So what is happening? The values are going like this. 1, first of all, in the first block it will take 1. Okay. Then it takes 2 right here. Then here it goes 3. And then here it goes 4. Here it goes 5. Here it goes 6. Here it goes 7. Here it goes 8. And here it goes 9. Okay, now tell me, when you have to access this element, what will be the index? How will you come to this block in which 7 is present? Amol and rest of you, tell me this answer. If you want to go to 7, what will be the index that you'll be using? How will you access that thing? Everyone? 2, 1, Amol. So you have given me the answer already. Mohsin says 2, 1. Vijay says x2, 1. Absolutely correct. So are you clear with this diagram now? Are you clear why I'm using x2, 1 and the answer is 7 this time? Everyone, are you clear with this? Give me a final confirmation and then we'll move on to the second one. The other question. Amol says yes. Mohsin says yeah. Sarah says yes. Vijay says yes. It's clear. What about Mavish? Okay, Mavish already gave the right answer. That's good. Ahmed, what about you? I'm really worried about you. Are you clear with this? Okay, he's not saying anything. Okay, the other question. Now give me the answer to this question now, everyone. This is based on array list. You have already learned array list. So tell me, what do you think will be the answer to this question right here? Anyone? I'm sure it is quite easy answer for you. Easy question. Vijay says C. Okay. Mavish says D. Mohsin says B. Okay. Everyone, I need every answer. Everyone has to give the answer. Please write down on the chat and the rest of you as well. Any answer, but I want one. Right, wrong, anything. Mohsin says it's C. So we have got votes for C. 2 votes for C, 1 for B and 1 for D. Amol says D. So 2 for D, 2 for C and 1 for B. Still 2 people are left in today's class. One is Ahmed and the other one is Sarah. Any answer but think and give me. Maybe wrong. Yogesh says C. Okay, 2 for B, 2 for D. Sorry, 2 for D, 2 for C. Oh, 3 for C, 2 for D and 1 for B. Okay. What about you, Sarah? What do you think? Ahmed, what do you think? Sarah says D. Okay. And I would expect if anyone has got a mic, those who are saying C or D, can you give me an explanation? Why do you think this is the answer? Any one of you tell me that I have a mic and I want to give an explanation. I'll just unmute you so that our experience gets better. It would be good to interact with you all. Anyone? Mavish, would you like to explain it? Sarah says, I just guessed it. Never mind. What about the rest of you? Mavish, would you like to speak? Mohsin, Amol? Vijay, don't you have a mic? I'm talking whether I'm asking whether you have got a mic or not. I want you to speak up today. No one? Okay then, you can give the explanation. Now Vijay Yogesh says no bike, but on sort it will become 135 and then 2 will be added and then it's reversed. Okay, so Yogesh, what was the answer? C. Absolutely, even I go for C. Let's see then. What's the answer? So I'll open up the code itself. It is right here. And then add 3 which says. Okay, so we'll just go step by step, okay? We'll be printing arrays step by step. So I'll just comment the rest of the part. Okay, first of all, I have an array list that is of integer type. Now, in that I'm adding 3 elements 1, 5 and 3. Well, right now if I print this array list, I'll receive a result 1, 5, 3 right here. Okay, this is quite simple to understand. After that, when I sort the array, okay, I'm using collection.sort and pass the array list into that, so it will sort the elements of the array. Now I receive a result 135. Okay, now when I add a value 2, now tell me what will be the result when I print the array list. Everyone write down the result. Now when I run the code, what will be the result that I would receive? 2135, Mohsin says. Yogesh says 1352, and that's right. We'll receive a result 1352. It is not 2135. Okay. So when I run the code, it is 1352. It will be added in the end. Yes, Vijay, you are right. After that, I again uncomment a line that is collections.reverse A. So previously we received a result 1352. Now when we'll use collection.reverse, it will reverse the entire thing. That is, I'll receive a value 2531. When I run this code, I receive a result 2531, and that is why the answer was C. Okay. So everyone, are you now clear? Those of you who have said D or any other thing? Maybe says in the PPT there were different variables for sort and reverse. Okay, just the list. The name of the array was different. That does not really matter. Mavish, am I clear? Mohsin says you are clear. Okay, right. Just the name of the array list is changed and rest of the functions are the same. Every step is same. Okay. So everyone, are you clear how this result is coming? That is C2531. Yogesh says yes. Mavis says okay. Mohsin says yes. Sarah says so by default sorts in ascending order. Yes, Sarah, it sorts in the ascending order. Vijay says okay. Sarah says okay. Okay then, and that was the final question for today. So everyone, the exception handling topics, try, catch, throws, keyword, finally keyword, all these topics, were they clear to all of you? Please write down on the chat window whether yes or no. Mohsin, Sarah, Mavish, Yogesh, send me smileys. It's a long time now. You haven't sent me smileys. Okay. Very good then. Yogesh and Mohsin sends me a smiley. So let's have a look at our Facebook community. Do you want to go there right now? Since we have got some time, let's go there and let's see a few things what is happening there. Vijay says yes. What about the others? Vijay says yes. Rest of you, would you want to see the community? The updates there? Sarah says okay. Okay then, I must be already logged in. Okay, here's one of my friend, I'm sorry. So I'll open up the community itself. Okay, see, Vijay Singh has posted the project, okay, that is the banking thread. I've commented on it. Good attempt, Vijay. One thing I want to add, that in this, that is the functionality to create new accounts. He attempted the project really well, okay. Only there was one thing that he needs to add, and I've given him, he's saying that he'll be submitting by today. So I want everyone, you guys are so many. Why only I'm receiving 2 results, 2 solutions? You should post it, you should attempt the question. Never mind, good, bad, that does not really matter. The attempt is what really matters. Okay? I don't say that you'll be learning entire thing in one day or in one project itself, but you'll be learning something, and something is better than nothing. Do you agree with my thought? Something is better than nothing. Do you think it is correct? So why not go and make a solution? Why not try and question and just post it on community? I'm there to review it. I'll just check I'll run your code personally, and I'll see whether it is correct or not, or what updations has to be given in that. Okay? Even Sariq sent some projects and there were people commenting on it and they were giving the answers. So that's good. You guys can, like Ashraf posted question, even you guys can post some questions like this. Mayank posted question, you can do that like that on this community. Even Ashraf posted the banking system question. Okay. So you guys can attempt all these questions. So I'll try to post one more question today, and let's see how many of you actually answers that question, okay? It will be a tricky question, an interesting one. Not difficult, not easy, just a trick. That will actually cause your attention, catch your attention, okay? So I just need your participation more and more, everyone. Make it a Java platform, really a Java platform, not a Facebook. It is not a Facebook. It is a platform for Java for all of you. Okay, so don't enjoy it, post in your questions, make discussions over here, and learn from this. Okay, so that is why I just wanted to open up this right now. Okay, Mohsin has given some. What are chained exceptions in Java? Yes, this was the question Mohsin asked in the class rise itself. I missed it. I forgot. Sorry. If you want to give the answer, if you want me to give the answer right now, I can do that, or else I can post it on community, or other can also answer it. You can tell me, Mohsin. Would you want me to answer it right now? Okay, I'll give you the answer. Now, chained exceptions are like that you have an exception, right? Now, once you have that exception, once you catch it, you can trigger one more exception from there itself. There are some exceptions that are interrelated. When one exception finishes, the other exception starts, it pops up. Okay, now that is actually called the chained exception. I'll post example on Facebook community itself so that you can understand it in better way. But the definition is this itself, that is from one exception, another exception comes up, that is called the chained exception. Okay? Is that fine? Please let me know on the chat window if yes. Okay then, Mohsin. So for today, this will be all, everyone. Vijay says yes. So bye-bye, take care all. Right after this class, you'll receive a survey to fill in. Don't forget to fill in the survey. Give your comments, give your suggestions so that I can improve myself and provide you a better class in the future, as I always say. Okay? And one more thing. After the next class that is on Thursday will be a final class that is based on database. After that class, you'll have an examination, okay? We'll schedule an examination for you. We'll intimate you through the Facebook community one thing, or as well as we'll send you emails, okay, everyone. So you'll be giving your examinations on webinar online itself. I'll take you to the LMS. It will be an online exam. Yes, absolutely, Mohsin. I'll show you on the LMS. I'll place a quiz. That will be a 2-hour online exam. Okay. First thing, for the first half an hour, you'll be giving a quiz. Okay, you'll attempt a quiz, and in the rest 1.5 hour, you'll be developing a application. Okay, I'll give you a few questions, and you can opt any one of the questions, and you'll be making that application in 1.5 hour. Okay, after that, after completing the application, you'll just mail that application or a support ID. I'll tell you all the procedure on that day itself, but understand, you have to prepare you'll have to attempt a quiz that will be of half an hour, and in 1.5 hour, the remaining 1.5, you'll be working on an application. You'll be making an application. Okay, So this way you'll be testing your skills, right? So everyone excited about it or worried about it? My exams are coming up, so can I give the exams afterwards? Amol, when is your exam coming? When is your exam? Mohsin says 50-50. Don't get worried, it's just an exam. Simple one. Yogesh says both. So Amol, when is it? Next week? And it will be continued till, when will it finish? Vijay says when the exam will be. Okay, don't, still the date has not been finalized. Okay, Amol says 29th April. It will finish on 29th April. Okay, then don't worry. Okay, right now it is March. I just got confused. 29th April, that means next month. So I think Amol, you just take out 2 hours from your time, okay, and attempt the quiz. I'm sure you'll crack it. Attempt the exam, you'll crack it. Don't worry. A little study will help you out with that, okay. Mohsin says my exams are starting on 3rd April. Sarah says will be tested on all the topics that are covered so far. Absolutely, Sarah. The topics that were covered during the course will be taken. Okay, you'll find questions from all the topics. Amol says certificates are going provided. Yes, on the basis of your results, the exam that we are taking, okay, you'll be receiving these soft copies of the certificates. We'll send it to you. Mohsin says, do it have a negative marking? Right now, yet not decided. We'll tell you on the exam date itself, okay? Or the email that we'll be sending you or in the community will mention all the details, whether there'll be a negative marking or not. Everything will be given to you, okay? Right now, you just have to be prepared. Go through the Java course that we taken, go through the videos, go through examples, write some codes. Absolutely, they'll help you and you'll crack the exam very easily, okay? I'm sure you can do it. So all your queries answered? Okay then. Everyone, take care. We'll be meeting on this Thursday again at 4 p.m. Bye-bye. And just attempt the question. The banking system is a good question, okay, that I posted on community. Just try to attempt it. Go through it. Sarah says, I'm in the middle of doing Android project. Can I take the test later date? Okay, you're working on the Android project from Edureka itself, right? Okay, I'll just figure it out, okay? So by when are you thinking that your project will be finished? By what date? Do you have any idea? Because I think the exam will be taken somewhere in the next week or next to next week, okay? Okay, Sarah says no idea right now. Never mind, Sarah, we'll just figure it out, okay? Well, if there is a problem, you can just send a mail on support ID and we'll let you know, okay? Mohsin says, can we just answer the quiz? Mohsin, now what is the point of just taking up the quiz? Take the subjective practical thing also. You must know how to make an application. Attempt the application as well. It won't be very difficult, okay? It would be so that you can make that application in 1.5 hours, not more than that, okay? Is that fine, Mohsin? Okay. Okay, then for today, bye-bye all. Thank you for being here today, and we'll be seeing on Thursday again. Thank you. And I want you to post one question each. Okay, everyone post one question each on the community and we'll answer them. Each one of us will answer on every comment. Okay, we'll like it and we'll share it. Will everyone do that? One question from everyone and we'll answer that question. Is that fine? Mohsin says yes and a smiley. What about others? Don't you want to post a question? Amol says no. Why no, Amol? Mavish says okay. Vijay says yes. Amol, won't you post? Sarah says we'll try. Okay, Sarah? Okay, then just post it. Bye-bye, take care and fill in the survey. Different queries improve knowledge, Amol says. Absolutely. Different questions improve knowledge. So just post your questions on community. We'll have discussions. I'll also answer on them. Okay? First you'll answer and then finally I'll give the answer on them. Okay? So bye-bye all. Thank you.
The organizer has ended the session and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.